Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Meal Prep Monday. Just getting ready for another busy week of work and life. Trying to cook meals so my family can eat, even though it is a busy week. You saw me starting off making a couple eggs. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to be doing with them, but I was making breakfast for my husband and I and just thought I would cook up a couple eggs thinking I would figure out what to do with them later. Here I am just starting off with my bacon. I like to get this going because it just takes a couple minutes to get it on the pan and then just throw it in the oven and it can start working for me. I'm actually taking some of the celery and carrots that I prepped last week. These are the ones that we didn't get to, but we're still perfectly fine. And I am dicing them up to make a mirepoix for some soup later. You'll see me cooking that up. But for now, I'm just dicing up the carrots and celery and half an onion. In this episode, I am going to be jumping around. I will not be shooting these or arranging these scenes according to each meal. I am just posting it and arranging it how I cook, which is quite back and forth. But this is just how my brain works. I just figured I'm chopping up vegetables. I may as well chop up the peppers and onions for another meal since I'm already dicing up some for the soup. So I kind of try to work in a way that makes sense and the most time efficient as possible. To me, there's no reason to jump back and forth just because it's not for a set meal. I may as well get all my vegetables diced up. So that's the order that I'm going to be doing this. I am making a baked spaghetti with these. So I'm just getting my pasta cooked up. I don't really use recipes like I've mentioned before. I just get inspiration, so I will tell you a little bit more about that later. Here, my bacon is all done. I'm actually getting better at cooking it. I just recently started doing it in the oven, and I really like it because I don't have to babysit it. But I also did dump the bacon grease into a dish just for later use. I don't normally rinse my spaghetti for, say if I'm actually just making regular spaghetti, I wouldn't rinse it. But for some reason, I thought that it would be good because it was going to be sitting on the counter for a while. So I decided to do that. Here I'm using some chicken that I cooked, I believe, last week and threw it in the freezer. I just pulled it out. It obviously is not thawed at this point. Still quite frozen, but I was just wanting to get this recipe going. So I'm going to be making a chicken salad. So I just diced up the best I could that frozen chicken. It was partially thawed, but so I'm using some apricots and some almonds actually from our wedding that I've just been slowly working through. I'm going to be making a curry chicken salad. So I thought the apricots and almonds would be a good touch, and it ended up being perfect. For the dressing for this chicken salad, I am just using some mayonnaise, maybe a half a cup of mayonnaise, about 3/4 of a cup or half a cup of Greek yogurt, obviously just plain Greek yogurt, some curry seasoning. I've found that less is better with curry. I've always been like, more spice, more better. But I found that if I do that, it's way too strong and then it ends up being not good. So I think I maybe did like only a teaspoon, and then added some garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, and gave that a stir. And then I just set that aside to let that thaw completely. And then I went in later and adjusted the seasonings if I needed to. I am just getting some ground beef going for that baked spaghetti. That, again, was still frozen. I didn't plan very well for this meal prep day, but it all ended up working out. Obviously, I would try to have my meats thawed out before I started, but we made it work. Sometimes I will scoop out the grease/liquid when I cook up the beef. Sometimes I will just use a paper towel and soak it up that way. For my seasonings, I did powdered garlic powder. Why could I not think of that? And then I put those diced peppers and onions in the meat mixture. I am showing you what I'm going to be adding here. I've got some bruschetta topping. I bought that at a home buy store about a month ago, and I just have not figured out what to do with it, so I figured I would use that in this. You see me putting some cream of mushroom soup with some heavy whipping cream. Normally I would thin that out with milk, but I didn't have any on this day, so I just used a couple tablespoons just to loosen that up. Then I'm going to be adding this bruschetta topping and giving that a good mix. It actually tasted so delicious. I will actually have to look for it when I go to a regular grocery store again and buy it. I was pleasantly surprised how delicious it was. Just getting the spaghetti loosened up just to be able to mix it in with the meat and pepper mixture. And then I will put it in the pan. This is a dish that is inspired by a baked spaghetti that my mom makes and has made for years. I like her recipe. Her recipe does call for black olives, which I don't like, but hers also calls for the mushroom soup, and it tasted so similar. It was so good. I was very happy with it. Now I am coming back over to the soup that I'm going to be making. I am making a gnocchi soup. So we are starting off with a roll of sausage that was also not thawed out, but we did our best and we got it done. Just going to be cooking that up until it is browned. And then I am adding in this mirepoix. Yes, that's a fancy French term. I'm sure I learned it on a cooking show that I watched years ago, but that just means the the carrot, onion, and celery. And I'm just going to be cooking that until that is done. What you saw me just throw in there is some chicken bone broth that I made last week and froze. And so that's going to be a good addition to that soup. Here I am moving, while that soup is cooking, I am moving on to some tuna salad for my husband. I don't love tuna. I can eat it once in a great while, but I don't like seafood. I don't like fish. it is kind of gross to make it for me, but he loves it, and so I make it for him because I love him. But just doing kind of a bigger batch. He likes taking this to work, and so he makes it for himself, and so he basically kind of just showed me how he likes it, and I make it for him now. And his recipe calls for mayonnaise, mustard, hot sauce, garlic powder, onion powder, salt, pepper, and then his secret ingredient is green olives. Another thing I hate is green olives, but I will do it for him. Okay, we are back to the gnocchi soup. I'm just adding in the gnocchi to that sausage and onion, celery, and carrot mixture with the chicken broth. Just gonna cook that. When you put it in, it kind of sinks to the bottom, and then as it cooks, it will rise to the top, and then you will know it's done. I am moving on to some breakfast. I am making some breakfast biscuit muffin cups. I'm taking just a can of biscuits and splitting those in two. So they're the ones that have like the layers, and just dividing that in half and putting them in there. It kind of makes it go farther. Here I'm just adding some heavy cream to the soup to just give it that creaminess. I am dicing up those eggs that I made this morning at the very beginning of the video. And I didn't realize it, but apparently I did not record the mixture. So this mixture that I'm putting in the little muffin cups with the biscuits is some sausage gravy that I made, I believe, last week and froze, and then some diced ham and those eggs that I diced up. So it's just kind of like a creamy meat and egg mixture that I am dividing between all those biscuits. And then I am just going to top it with a little bit of bacon, just a couple pieces, just to give it some flavor. And then also some shredded cheese. Okay, I believe this is the last thing that I am making for this Meal Prep Monday. This is scalloped potatoes with ham. I think this is the first time I've made this for my family. I think I have about 6 potatoes that I am cleaning up. I'm going to wash them and then start slicing them and layering them in a pan with onions and ham. the sauce that will go in this scalloped potatoes. So basically you layer potatoes, a layer of onion, a layer of ham, and then this mixture, I use half of it, so it's about 3/4 of a cup of sour cream, a can of cream and mushroom soup, and maybe some garlic powder. You can throw whatever you want in there. So I will put half of this on top of that bottom layer, and then continue layering with the rest of the potatoes, the rest of the onions, the rest of the ham, and then the rest of this sauce. And then I topped it all with some garlic powder, onion powder, and some smoked paprika, and some shredded cheese. Okay, here's what we did for this Meal Prep Monday. Baked spaghetti, gnocchi soup, scalloped potatoes, the breakfast muffin bites, and we've got tuna salad, and we've got the curry chicken salad. Everything was so delicious, and we ate this the whole week.